Okay, good morning. Today is October 25th, and we are moving into a new phase in our construction plans. We're moving out of SDs, which is schematic design, and we're moving into our design development phase, which means that most of the design ideas that we have laid out so far, we've talked to the client about, and we have their approval on that. And we have a pretty good idea of which way the project will be moving. Also for design about development, let me just read through this, it's just easier. It means our architectural plans and specifications, which we're not doing specifications, but they're developed at the same time. There's in the architecture class, there's a side of in architecture. Miss A does a whole class on specifications because it's its own beast by itself. There should be 50% complete and generally include the outline of specifications, which includes hardware, equipment, and furnishings. Remember, specifications are the written instructions of how the building is going to be built. Floor plans to scale with dimensions, room designations, references, wall types, ratings, building sections, heights and dimensions, interiors, and preliminary structural, mechanical, and electrical drawings. We won't be doing the structural, mechanical, electrical drawings. If you do like this class and want to learn more about Revit, I do offer an MEP class, which is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. That should be offered in the spring, so you can actually, it's a really good class to take after this one because you use the basics of what we have on this one, and we use that in Revit. A lot of times, sometimes our mechanical classes are in Cadd based, but this is more of an advanced Revit, which includes mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. That being said, what we're going to be doing in this 2-week phase of our design development is really kind of working on the details of our plans, really kind of working on our design ideas. You should be at a point right now where you've asked all your questions, and you can take those ideas and really refine them. I did get a chance to go through everybody's work that has submitted theirs so far, and there's varying degrees of work that needs to be done on a lot of these. So I would like you to take your time and really kind of get in there and start developing your design ideas a little bit more and refining those, because the end of the semester is going to come really quick. Today in class, we're going to talk about window alignment, which will have to do with the exterior of your building, and it's a small thing, but something that when I show you an example of what I'm talking about, you'll understand what's going on there. Also, some of the buildings have you still haven't incorporated an entrance in there yet, so make sure that you go back and take a look at that building and see how people are going to get into it, because yeah, there's a big flaw in that original plan. Remember that there is no entrance. And some of you have found new ways to incorporate that. Some of you have used the simple way by the hallway. Anyway, it's fine. It just does need a point of entrance. New stuff we're going to go over today is section views. And we'll see how those work. We'll talk about interiors. This is a repeat of stuff that we've learned before, but I still see this as stuff that needs to be worked on in people's projects. And then we're going to do a little advanced stuff with some roof tricks. All the roofs are going to be a standing seam metal roof. Some of you have flat roofs, some of you have different types of roofs. We're going to see if we can incorporate this standing seam metal roof into it. What will also be added to this building are dormers. We'll learn how to do dormers next class. That's multi-steps process to create those, and we'll talk about that then. Those of you who do have a building idea that you do not think you would like to include dormers on, or if you have a flat roof where obviously dormers will not work, we are going to build a separate building on your site, which will incorporate the dormers and the standing seam metal roof and stuff like that. So that way I can see that you know how to do it, but it doesn't affect your overall design in your building. That being said, we'll go ahead and jump into the lecture today and jump into Revit. So window alignment, what am I talking about here? So when I'm opening a lot of these Revit projects, I'm just kind of using y'all's work as an example, just because usually in class I get a chance to like go through and like work with y'all. And this is a way that I can like work with certain projects and kind of show y'all examples about what's going on, you know, since we're not in class live. So let's kind of talk about a couple of these. All these are good and they're like moving along quickly, but you can see that some of them need a little bit more work than others. Let's see. And it all depends on the amount of time that you have to put into it. So on here, we have a nice example of how the windows are lined up. Entranceway has been moved to here. There's also an entrance here, which is good because we have two points of entrance and exit. So this is what I'm talking about with like the window alignment. Let's take a look at another one. So here you can see the windows, oops, that's what I wanted. Here you can see the windows are stacked just a little different. And we don't have that here. We have something nice right here and here. And then with them off just a little bit, it's a little distracting. It takes away from the overall design of the building. Sometimes when we're looking at, you know, our floor plans, we want to try and like get our windows lined up exactly so they're kind of even within the room itself. But we always have to remember that it's going to be reflected on the outside of the building and how that looks. So it's kind of like a fine dance on how to incorporate our interior and exterior, our windows. So these are an easy fix. You can go back, but it's just something, another thing that we think about when we're creating our buildings. Now, this, there may be a way that you can fix this that's, you don't have to change too much. Also, you want to think about the consistency of the type of windows that you're using. So I'd go back and just kind of give this another think about how to correct those. We could stagger these, but it looks like they're slightly off in the dimensions just a little bit. So it could work like this. But whoever this is, just go back and give it another little think about how to lay those out. Another thing that I kind of caught on this one, the design of the curtain wall looks really good, but we're forgetting this mullion on the outside. So this is actually doesn't have a support on it. So we're actually missing these mullions that run across the top, bottom, and side. So if we go back and we just do one mullion, it'll just add that one right there. But if you go back and you hit all grid, well, it's going to repeat some of them, but it'll add the rest of them in there. So you can see how that looks a little bit more complete now up there. Let's make sure we got it on this side. So yeah. All right. So now we have like all our complete mullions in, and it's structurally sound. Oh, and one other thing on this one, notice how these windows are way too close to this. So I would maybe eliminate these or definitely move these, and they look like they may be inside out. jump to level 1. And yeah, these windows are inside out. Remember, you can always check by the way the profile looks, the plan view looks. Click on there. As long as these little toggles are on the outside, you know the window's aligned in the right direction. So that's what I'm talking about when we said definitely add the entrance. Let's take a look at level 1 again. So, okay, this is nice. We have exit and entrance here. The double doors here for the first floor. And this is a good way to incorporate the entrance. I would want to check is how wide this is, because notice how this door, this wall is like impacting this entrance. There's probably not enough space here, so we could probably just move this over. This is a double door. There are double doors, so you don't have to use these single doors. I just bump that over a little bit. And there may be some, yeah, that needs to go over. Right there. Yeah. So just a little fix like that. Go ahead and back and check all your windows. These windows are inside out. But I do like how this is incorporated over here. So that was a good idea. And also the stairs look nice as well. So just little tweaks like that you want to catch. Looks like enough space there. So, all right, so that being said, let's move on from there. Who's next? Section views. Oh yeah, section views are fun. All right, so for our section views are actually pretty easy. But it is interesting, and it's good to whoever this is, we'll talk about this separately. Okay, it's questions. Okay, cool. I'll go back and take a look at that. I didn't see that earlier. There are ways to include keynotes on plans, and it would be a way to list other information, and we'll talk about that later as well, but I'll go back and look at this, whoever this is. So let's take a look at this. First floor totally redone. We're going to go back and hide these. I'm glad you have these labeled, but we'll go ahead back and hide that, and we'll show you how to rename those later on too. This is an interesting place to put your exit, but also think about how the traffic's going to be affected in this space right here. So I maybe want to give that a rethink. You've got people going up and down the stairs depending on how busy this is. You can still have one here, but maybe put another one here as well. If this is the only staircase in the building, there's no elevator or anything like that, this could be there could be a lot of traffic here. So think about maybe adding another entrance or exit in this space and in the building, not just in this space, because it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's good to get people in and out quickly, but think about maybe adding another one as well. Where was I? Just rambling on. Section views. Okay, so for our section views, you always want to do this from a plan view. You don't want to do this in 3D. You want to do it from a plan view. So it'd be like first, second, third, fifth floor, whatever. So we're just going to do ours on the first floor. So when I start my section views, they're on my quick access toolbar. It's this little tool right here, section views. Also, you can find section views on the view tab in the create panel and the section tool right here. I always tend to use the one in the quick access toolbar because that's what it's there for. So when we're going to line up our section views, I'm going to start on one side. Here's my marker, and then we can bring that all the way across like this. So that's just going to automatically lay out the section view. As soon as you put this section view in place, it's going to add that to your project browser. So we have section view 1. And let's just jump into that and see what it looks like. So that is a really nice cross section of the interior of the building. Let's turn the color on, see what it looks like. So another thing I do for whose every project is this is work on that interior color scheme. I wonder why this is like this. I'll go back and take a look at that later. What is that? It's oops. I wonder why that wall is different. I have to go back and look at that. Anyway, so this is a nice section view of this part right here. But say you didn't want this part of your section view. Say you actually wanted it to look in a different direction. I don't have to do another one. I can come back to this section view here and just like flipping the doors and windows and stuff like that, I can hit this toggle and just flip it the other way so it has another view on it. So let's go back and take a look at that again. I can click the top of that and it'll give me that section view there. So now I've got the look into the building now. I think maybe just these walls aren't done is what the difference is, which is fine. So now you have a different view. Let's jump back to level 1. Say you only want to, let me flip this back again. Flip it back again. Actually, we'll continue that lecture. So notice how that section view looked kind of incomplete. So it looks like there's odd over here that we're not sure what's going on there. Well, that's because of the window, the section view box. So if we take this and kind of drag it all the way through, and now we go back to that section view. Now we can see the complete building itself. So it's not only the direction that you're facing, but how big that view box is that's going to determine how far you're going to be looking into the building. That's why it looked weird. And now that we stretch that view back, we can see that all the rest of the interior of the building. It's looking real nice. All right, we'll jump back there and we'll take a look at this. But say you didn't want all of this view. Notice that you can shrink it up a little bit. I'm going to flip this back to this way, and then I can shrink my view up so it's just there, there, and there. It just takes this wall into consideration. I actually want to shrink this up as well. I want to leave this outside the drawing. If I wanted it to be laid out another way, remember you can toggle through here. So we'll leave it like that. So now I can see just this section. So let's go jump back and take a look at that in that section view now. Okay, so we're getting there, which is nice. So maybe you just want the first floor. We'll click on that, and here we can drop this so it just incorporates just that section view of that part of your interior space. So you can adjust the section views to make it really highlight stuff that you want it to. Sometimes we're going to want a section view that's going to cut across the entire building. And there's a few different section view types I'm going to request that you do. You will get that list later. For now, I just want you to kind of practice with the section views. The more you make, they're just going to be down here in this section, and you can rename these if you want. Let's throw in another couple of section views as well. Let's start on level, 4 this time and see what makes difference on that. So here's my level 4. Let's go to section view tool. And let's cut this across this space right here. I actually want this to face the other way. And I do want to see that entire viewpoint down this hallway. Notice that added in my new section view down here. And when I take a look at that, I can see that entire way down that hallway. Let's turn the color on. Looks pretty nice. Let's bring this up so we can capture that top building right there. So you can see that looks really good right there. This is another little curtain wall here. I like the incorporation of this right here. Just an idea is to kind of maybe bring this down all the way to the bottom, because let me take a look at the outside of it. It may just look off because of this interior view. Let's take a look at what it looks like on the outside. It's really important to take a look at these buildings every way to see what it looks like. And you can get a better idea of how all that is incorporated. Actually, that looks really nice. Yeah, I like that. It's looking good. Okay. So section views are pretty easy. What I do for now is just run a couple of section views, just keep practicing those to see how they work. But as we get closer to the end of design development phase and really into our construction drawing phase, our CD phase, which is the next one, after this 2-week section, we'll have a complete list of how to incorporate like which section views that you're going to be using for your project. So now I want you to know how to do them and just kind of practice them, and then we can kind of go from there. So that's it for section views, pretty straightforward. Let's use that same one to talk about interiors. Remember, we've talked about finishes. We want to change up our finished floors. We want to talk about paint and like splitting walls horizontally. This is a repeat, but I want to make sure that you are taking time to work on the interiors of the house. Once we get past all this other stuff, we're going to be moving into some really cool stuff when we do. We'll be adding interiors as well. We'll be doing a whole interior section. Don't add any interiors right now because that will interfere with your floor plan. There's going to be a separate interiors plan. So we'll do that separately, and we need to learn how to do that, and we'll do that next week. But for now, to continue the consistency of this building itself, we want to work on our floors, make sure that you're adding your finished floors, make sure that you're painting. And then I think we talked about splitting the walls horizontally because we're working in 3 to 4 stories now. So as you noticed, let's hide one of these guys. When you do that, if you're using the same floor on each one, which we did, to just bring these up, everything's the same color and stuff. So just the way you can split things vertically, we can split these walls horizontally, so you can have different floor colors on each floor. The first floor doesn't have to match the second floor. So remember to do that. We want to go ahead and jump to our modify tab. Let's do an angle view for this one so I can get that corner that I want. Let's say I want to split this between the first floor and the second floor. Same tool, same process. But we kind of come up here with our little X-Acto knife. We're going to click right in the middle of this floor so it intersects there. And it's going to give you this warning, especially if you've like done this with your, if you've split your walls vertically already, it's going to give you this warning. Let's turn that off and see what happened. So it did let me do it, but it will get a little frustrating sometimes. And sometimes when that happens, depending on where you split it and depending on what the design is, it's going to, what had happened there is it got rid of this, this sweep. So it's real important to just kind of pay attention to where these walls split. And sometimes it does get a little bit frustrating. Let's see, is this must be, and sometimes the sweeps, when you split the walls, you end up with like, I don't know if this is meant to look like this.
No, definitely not.
Okay. And it may be because I just split it.
It's funny. Is there a way to like rejoin all those walls and then I can go and split them again later as I need to? Is there a way to just make them all one wall again on each side?
Yeah. There is, and honestly, it's escaping me now. Let me take a look at that and get back to you.
That's cool.
I have to look that up again because
It became a pain in the ass. I was painting the sweeps and I had to go each section one at a time, one sweep at a time, blah, blah, blah.
yeah. You don't have to paint the sweeps. You should be able to just use the same material. You can change the material. It does it at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Well, too late.
Change the material. Yeah. But yeah, you don't have to paint them. You can change the material when you create it. That would work as well. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, things start to get a little crazy when we have a lot of stuff going on in here, and it does get a little bit frustrating. So on your exterior walls, I'm cool with like maybe not splitting the exterior walls, and let's split the interior walls. Oh, it looks like these are done, and it was just the exterior walls that are having trouble. Let me come back to that. And I can see how we can fix some of that. But that did throw off all the design work on here. Let's try that one more time from a different angle. Yeah, give me the same problem. And as we noticed with Revit, sometimes it depends on the method that we do stuff. So we probably should have like split the walls before we added all this other stuff. So that's my fault on that. So if you're not splitting the exterior wall horizontally, that's okay. It should still work for your interior walls because it's not going to interfere with all the extra design work that you're doing. So it's kind of play with it.
I was just trying to paint the interior walls. So this is like a few weeks ago when we talked about painting. I split the walls then, and I didn't realize I was splitting the exterior wall as well, which is why I was trying to figure out a way to rejoin the exterior wall and then just split the interior walls.
Right. Yeah. I have to go back and refresh myself on that one.
Yeah, it's cool. It's I found workarounds. It's just,
Yeah, it's all about a workaround sometimes, but yeah, it does get a little frustrating with that. So
yeah, I had the same problem, but it wouldn't even let me do the sweeps and all that stuff.
okay. Okay, we'll take a look at that one one-on-one and see what's going on with that. But when you start getting these more complex exterior walls, it does get a little frustrating on that, and a lot of it does depend on the order that you do it in. So that's on me for that. But hey, if you can figure out a workaround, that's good. And that's not, and if you don't get that done, if you get the interiors done, if you have walls that run up like that, that's fine as well. So
it's more. I for some reason cannot split my walls horizontally. I get errors and it just undoes it. It doesn't even let me do it.
Was it doing the same thing there that we just did that? You're horizontally?
I'm getting an error that says it can't make the wall, and then I hit cancel, and it just goes back to the way it was.
Okay, that probably has to do with the fact that we added the sweeps and reveals first.
Well, I haven't put the sweeps and reveals on yet.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Let's let me take a look at that too on your drawing, and I'll kind of play with it and then get back to you.
Well, I haven't submitted mine yet.
Yeah. go ahead and submit it. It's
Just-
not about, how far you've gone. It's just about for me to kind of check things. And you're not getting a grade on that affects your work, that affects your GPA. It's just a grade, if you submitted it or not. And that way I can just, it's just a way for me to check your work, not necessarily give you a grade on your progress.
Yeah, I just was it's been kind of making me nuts because I tried to split from the inside, I tried to split from the outside, and I just
Yeah, that's
get that error.
It's honestly like it did that for me too, but like it kind of took me a minute to figure out what really was the problem.
mhm.
But like I forgot what I did, but like it worked after a while because like I just went on YouTube and just found out like how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. And I think it may be the order in which we're doing it. Let me refresh my own memory about that, and then we'll get back on that. So as far as the more important thing, the more interesting thing I want you to have on here is the sweeps and reveals. So if you're having trouble with that, I'll work with y'all on that. Let's not worry about the horizontal, and I'll come back and revisit that with y'all to make that more clear.
Yeah, because
see
the
how we
sweeps
can
will do that after you like split the walls.
Totally. We'll go back and revisit that and see how we can fix that. So, yeah, sometimes Revit gets very, aggravating if you don't do things in the correct order. And I may have shown y'all how to do this in the wrong order. So that's on me.
It's way better than AutoCAD though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's jump ahead and I'll come back to that with y'all next class and see how we can fix that. But then the last thing I want to show you how to do today, which is kind of fun, is how to create a standing seam metal roof. And for standing seam metal roofs, it's typically what you'll see in on Delgado's campus. If we're looking at the Louisa Street campus, that's what we have now. Well, let's just Google that, standing seam metal roof. It's these guys here with this one. This is what they mean by standing seam, like all the seams are standing up and stuff like that. And this is kind of a multi-step process to create this in Revit, but it's pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and do that today. But when I say standing seam metal roof, I just wanted to give you an example of what that looks like. All right, so how do we do that? Let's jump back to Revit. Let me do this one. All right, so we're going to create a standing seam metal roof out of this roof that we have here. So first thing that we want to do is we want to copy this roof in place. I go from a straight, make sure that you're not at an angle view or anything like that, that you're at a head-on view. So we're going to go to the Modify tab. We're going to go to the Modify panel. We're going to go to the Copy tool. So we're going to click on that and select that. And we're going to select this roof. When the roof is active, we're going to right-click and do Finish Selection. Now we're going to kind of go right from that peak there and just kind of drag that copy all the way up. It doesn't have to be too far up, but right now it just copied that roof in place and I just lifted it. So it's the same thing. So at this point, I want to leave this base roof alone. And for this second roof, I want to click it, highlight it, make it active. I'm going to come back over here to Properties. I'm going to type Selector, and I'm going to go all the way down to Sloped Glazing. And notice how it changed that roof. So basically it just changed that roof into glass, which is super not helpful if we're making a roof. So with that active, we want to go back to our properties. We want to go back to Edit Type. We're going to duplicate and rename, and we're going to name this from Sloped Glazing to Standing Seam. And Notice how it says curtain panel, none. Here we want to click on the drop down. And we want to change that to solid. Let's just go back and okay and see what happens there. So it changed that from a glass roof to a solid roof. From this point, we still need to do some editing with it. So I'll go back to edit type. And just like we created a grid for our curtain walls, there's going to be a grid that we create for our standing seam metal roof, because that's obviously going to be the thing that creates the seams. So we're going to check the grid 1 for our spacing. Oh, actually do layout first. And let's do fixed number. Spacing is at 5 feet. Let's do fixed distance. We'll do 3 feet there. And what did that do? Hit OK. Notice it added a grid, just like on our curtain wall. Let's go back to here again, edit type again. And now we have to add the mullions again. So I'll add these mullions in grid 1. Do drop down. Let's do this. Don't do circular ones or square ones. You can use these rectangular ones here. Either one of those. I'll hit OK. And that's added our standing seams there. A couple of ways that we can redefine this, make it look a little bit better. Let's click on, oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's click on the standing seam, on the seam. And if we go down here, and if we justify this, we change that from beginning to center. There we go, took a second, but you can see how it's center aligned now. It looks a little bit nicer, looks a little bit cleaner. So we can do that as well. Let's go back to our left view. And now we're just going to lower the roof. So notice here with this active, my base offset is like 26 feet. Let's just change that to 20 feet. Let's see what happens. So it disappeared. Let's change that to 21 feet. And it looks pretty good. You can lower it manually, or you can, the best thing to do is just make sure that you have the correct measurement on here. So it could be like 21 foot 1 inch. Let's see if it makes a difference. Yeah, it does it make a difference. So we have something that looks like that. And it just, you know, gives it that another roof type that you can use. But what I like you to do is I'll add this standing seam metal roof to your buildings. If you do have like this other example back here, you can just add it to this little piece right here, because it's more about the process than the size of the roof, because no matter the size of the roof, it's going to be the same process. So you can just add it to this piece right here instead of changing anything else, but add standing seam metal roof to that. All the rest of you, I think, have sloped roofs. So go ahead and add standing seam metal roof to that. But it just takes a little matter. It's just the process on that one as well. So let's just do one more so you can see that. Let's do it on this one as well. So in here, let's go to a side view. And I just like to do a side view from here because it's easy to go from the peak and just like pick that and go up. So remember, we're just going to go to our Modify tab, Modify panel, Copy tool, click on that roof, make it active. That's the one we want to copy. Right click, Finish selection. I like go to the peak point and I just drag it straight up. You don't have to go too far. Line is too short. Just a cancel. Let's see what happened there. Let's try that again. What is up with that? Okay, let's try this again. This time I'm gonna hit delete elements. Obviously it was connected in some way, but just by hitting delete elements, I don't see where it changed anything, but we can just go ahead and use that. We'll do delete element. Then at this time, remember, we'll go ahead and click on that roof, make it active again. We'll go to sloped glazing. It's edit type. We'll rename it. Duplicate, rename. Standing seam. In grid 1 layout, we'll change that. Oops, forgot to do the curtain panel first. Change that to solid. In grid layout, let's change that to fixed number this time. And let's do the mullions on this one as well. Let's do this larger one and we'll hit OK. So that looks a lot weirder than the other one because I picked fixed mullions and it's a fixed number and it's 5 foot apart. So it looks kind of weird. So if we want to fix that, we want to click on this, make it active. And under grid 1 for the number, I can change that. Say if I change that to 10, see what that would look like. So you can see how it's spacing out all 10 of them. If we wanted to make that, say, 15. I like the the foot spacing more than the number spacing. So, and then at the same time here, we can change that justification to center. And that didn't change it that much. That actually looks pretty good. It's nice. All right, and then we'll just come back to our side view. Click on that guy, make it active. And this is just the offset from that level. So if it did 7 feet, notice how it just moved that a little bit. Let's change it to 1 foot. That's going to lay right on top of there. Let's change that to 1 foot 1 and see what that looks like. And let's change. Here we go. So just that 1 foot 3 offset, make that look a little bit better. And there's no magic on exactly how to get that in place. This is more of a visual, because remember, this is just for your model. The actual roof information to create the roof, that'll be in your detailed drawings, but for your model to look correct, that's just more of a visual that we're looking at right there. So we can go ahead and leave that there, but that's how we create our standing seam metal roof. Any questions about that, y'all? All right, it's actually not that hard. Just follow the video a couple of times and you'll be able to do that and add that. So it'll keep adding more interest to the building. And continue to refine your building. You can change this exterior. Only a couple of you have changed the exterior from brick or whatever, but you really can like kind of run with it and you know, change it up as much as you want for the exterior and things like that. But that's it for lecture today. So unless there's any questions, we'll go ahead and drop. If there's anybody that wants to work one-on-one after class, shoot me a text and we'll reopen class. I'll send you a separate Zoom so we can work together on your own project. And that might help everybody a little bit, whoever needs that. So any questions? All right, if not, all right, if not, we'll go ahead and drop and I'll see y'all on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye y'all.
Yeah.